Everyone, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Hangout. Today we've got a great guest for you who's going to go over how to build your lead generation system to create a consistent stream of clients. Right now I just want to pass the mic over to my co-host Jason Gervais, who's going to explain a little bit about our guest and how they know each other. Jason?
Hey, thanks, Scott. Hey, everybody. Good morning. Jason Gervais here, team leader of Keller Williams Realty in Covina, California. I'm very pleased to be in business with this gentleman, Mr. Richard Reyes. He came aboard with us back in October or November. He can correct me if I'm wrong. And he's just been a great person to have in the office, great personality, and extremely dedicated to his business and growing his business. And that's why we're talking to him today about his lead generation and how he goes about his day to build his business. So that's what we're going to talk about and lead off with. So, Richard, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. I'm Richard Reyes with Keller Williams Real Estate with the Richard Reyes team. Been in business for full-time 6 years now, and just came aboard, correct, November of last year. November 2014, came aboard with a couple of teammates and our executive assistant, so we're definitely happy to be on the team.
Awesome. Well, and we're very pleased to have you. So, all right. So, Scott, what do you think? Should we just jump in and get some questions going?
Yeah, go ahead and get started with some questions. Before you do that, though, I just want to let everybody know that viewing the Hangout that we have a Q&A app open. If you would like to ask Richard or Jason any questions, go ahead and submit them there, and we'll make sure they get answered live online.
Fantastic. All right. So, Richard, I know we opened the office back in November. You came aboard in November. Your lead generation, how has it changed over the last 6 months or so? What are you doing differently to generate your leads from where you were to where you are now?
I think we've always been pretty in tune with the contacts we're making and appointments and the conversions. But coming to Keller Williams, they have a couple of different programs that are used. I think they're rolling one out in the next week or so. I forget the website. You probably know better than I do, but it actually allows us to track everything from our production to how many people we're contacting, who's doing what as far as closing deals. So to answer the question, how is it different? I think it's just knowing our numbers even more than we did at my other office that I was at.
Right. So that program that Rich was referring to is something called Commitment to Excellence. And we're actually going to do a Google Hangout with a great friend of mine, Calvin, in the next few months talking about that. And Richard's straight up dead on about it. It's knowing where your business is, tracking your numbers, and this program does that. And it does it in a very easy visual way. And so you're able to visually see it, track it, know exactly where you are. It's a great little program. So it's really cool. So, Richard, I remember talking with you about, I don't know, maybe it was a month ago or so, and you said something. You were actually talking to someone else, but you were talking about rejection phase.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk to me a little bit about that and why it's important to go through it?
Well, I mean, it's very simple. I mean, our mindset is, or actually my mindset is, the more no's I get, the closer I am to a yes. And the reality of it is all we need is just one person to say yes. Was prospecting this morning, got 8 contacts. One lady said they're thinking about selling. So again, the more no's I get, the closer I am to the yes.
Right. And so you mentioned all these no's that you get. When you do get them, how do you shake them off? Are you just like, all right, hang up and dial the next one, or do you take a moment to regroup, or what's kind of your mindset or your thought about that? Because I know there's a lot of people out there going, hey, I get total no all the time, and then I get into this funk.
Yeah, you definitely get that. There's a sign that I have in my office at home. It says, I will not let someone determine my next phone call. You are definitely going to get rejected. That's the nature of it. I mean, I think at one point you become numb. Like the story goes, I mean, anyone who has kids, I have 2 girls at home, and there are times when I come home, they're tired, I'm tired. I say, babe, give me a hug, and they're like, later, Dad, later. So it's rejection. You know, if I can deal with rejection from my daughters, I mean, no offense, but we're talking to strangers, home sellers and buyers. They say no. I mean, it's nothing to take personal. It's just they're not ready at that given point.
Right. So you just said something real important. You said that they're not ready at that given point. So if you call someone, you call John Smith, and they say no, you just take that piece of paper, throw it up, and throw it away, or what do you do?
No, on the contrary, we're actually, you know, business is done in the lead follow-up. I mean, you're trying to get the appointment on the first phone call, but if you're calling, let's say, for example, for sale by owner, who isn't calling a for sale by owner? You have probably 20, 30, 40 agents calling them at a given point in time. So you definitely want to stay in front of them, and you give them information, and when the time is right, they'll reach out to you. If they feel confident that you and your team are the people for the job, they're going to give us a call. I had a for sale by owner. I think I went in contact with them in October. Actually, just before I came here, and communicating through email. It was never even an appointment that we had, a physical appointment we had. She was just enjoying the dialogue that we had through email, and she ended up hiring us, and we listed the property on the 5th of January for $1.2 million. So again, they weren't ready to do something in October, and again, there must have been 1,000 agents calling them. The seller saw value in hiring us, and that's why they asked us to come out and sign the contract, and we're working aggressively and actively trying to get a buyer for their property.
Okay, so definitely the lead follow-up is super important, and staying in relationship with people over the long haul.
Right.
I mean, you just said there's probably 1,000 different agents calling them on the day that, you know, they're for sale by owner, or maybe they expired, or whatever it happens to be.
Right.
But you're probably the only one that actually stayed in relationship with them and built a relationship to the point where they're like, hey, Richard, come list my house.
Always. Matter of fact, we have a marketing specialist. His name's Nick. He helps us with our videos, and what we do is kind of similar to what Ben Kinney talks about, the 10 days of pain for buyers. We also do it for the sellers. So we have recorded videos to educate the sellers of what a market analysis is, referrals and past clients, and what a centers of influence are. So we come from a place of contribution. When you're speaking to these people, if you're genuinely coming from a place that, hey, how can we help these people, they're going to work with you a good portion of the time. You're not going to capture everyone, but for the most part, if they truly feel that you're sincere about helping them, they're going to call you.
Right.
Yeah.
So help people get what they want, and then that entail gets you what you want as well.
I think that's Earl Nightingale, or I think that might be Jason. What is that?
I don't think I'm as eloquent as Earl, but yeah, it's probably him. I'm sure I heard it from somewhere. And
that's definitely right. You help enough people get what they want, and you'll get what you want. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And you hit it. Come from contribution every time. Everybody you talk to, come from contribution. How can I help this person? So you stay in relationship, and you obviously use a database system, right?
We do. Yeah.
Okay. Are you using the Keller Williams eEdge, or you Top Producer? What?
Yeah, we use. I used to use Top Producer, but eEdge is actually by far probably one of the best programs out there. We use Follow Up Boss to kind of keep track of these leads. So we have myself and a couple colleagues here, along with our executive assistant, who all have access, and they have their own login. So at any given time you log in, you can find out exactly what took place. So, for example, yesterday we got a call. Buyer wants to purchase a home, wants to meet with our lender on Saturday. So I enter the notes really quick and say, hey, this guy wants to meet on Saturday, and then I tag it, and it gets sent to my lender for a follow-up, and that's the way it works. So, yeah, to answer your question, eEdge is what we use for Drip, and we have Follow-Up Boss to really track and kind of get chronologically what's going on within that person or that company.
Awesome. And what are you using to track how many calls a day are you making?
It varies. I mean, depends on what you're using. I mean, you can go, for us, going on Mojo is a dollar system that I've been using since the the Stone Age. I think
Right.
when they really rolled it out, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I was on it. We're making about 20 contacts a day at a minimum.
Okay.
So typically 20 contact will take you anywhere from 2 hours to probably 3 hours now. I think a lot of people are jumping on these dialer systems, so it's kind of, I feel that it's kind of extending the amount of time it's taking to get these contacts. But yeah, a couple 2-3 hours, and mostly get that taken care of in the morning time.
So you swallow the frog in the morning. You do the hardest thing you have to do in the morning.
Eat that frog, Brian Tracy. Yep.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, I mean, it's something we talk about all the time. Definitely doing the most challenging thing you need to do first thing in the morning, 9 to 12, do the lead prospecting, and then from 12 on, that's when you do your appointments. Your follow up, your appointments, everything.
If you don't have appointments in the afternoon, I might as well get on the phone, do some follow up. I mean, we have a bunch of buyer leads and seller leads. We can follow up with them and convert them into appointments.
Right. Yeah, just because you don't have appointments in the afternoon doesn't mean that you can go play golf or go play Xbox or God knows what else.
No.
All right. So you mentioned Mojo, so you're definitely hitting a lot of calls. Do you leave a voicemail, or do you just hang up and come back?
I do leave voice messages. I'm going to be honest. I mean, for as many times that we've been on the dialer system, I think I've only had maybe 2 or 3 people call me and say, hey, I want to talk about selling my home. So I don't know that it's effective. Maybe it's the message that we're leaving. But yeah, I mean, I leave messages. At least they know who you are. You kind of drop a voice message saying who you are and what the purpose or the intent of your call is, and then ask for a callback. So yeah,
Right.
we leave messages.
Yeah, it can't hurt. That's for sure.
No, not at all. I mean, it's just a button push. So it's either you push to call them back, or you drop a message and follow up with them in the next dialer session.
Okay. Now you mentioned real briefly earlier that you're the team leader of your team there up on the 5th floor. Do you have a minimum amount of calls that you require your teammates, the people under you, to make? How many a number of connections?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we don't want to get into the ideal of or the mindset of contact-itis, which basically you're just trying to reach people and tally it as a contact. We're trying to convert people to come in here and sign contracts. So to answer your question, we're doing a minimum of 20 to 25 contacts a day, and if they're not done, we don't leave here until it's done. I mean, you can get that done on Mojo. If you're not using the dialer system, it is going to take you probably pretty much all day to just drop calls in here and there, complete them. So yeah, 20 to 25 is what we're on. Sometimes we can go as much as 150 contacts a day. So it all depends. I mean, we have everything tracked though, and make no mistake about it, everything is tracked as far as how many people we're reaching out to and who's doing what.
Right. You mentioned you track, so you track, you know your numbers. We've talked about 3 or 4 times. You got to know your numbers, because otherwise you're just bumping around in the dark and you have no idea how close you are to your goals.
That program that you're talking about, that Calvin Mergen is working on, there's still some things that are being worked on within the software, but it's amazing. I mean, I call my friends and I say, hey, let me share my scoreboard with you, or let me share our scoreboard, and it tells you exactly what we've closed and what we can anticipate to close, and then it shows how many days you have in the quarter. It's a great way to keep everyone accountable.
Absolutely, accountability,
yep.
And keep yourself accountable too.
Of course, yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
Sure.
Now we talked a lot about the phone. Do you do any sort of other lead generation? For example, door knocking, open houses, community events, mailings, anything like that? Networking?
Yeah, we do everything. I mean, we cold call, we door knock. As a matter of fact, Gabriel's out there right now hitting the streets looking for buyers and sellers we can work with.
Awesome.
So we got the cold call, we got the door knocking, and we do the open houses. We do community events, but more, again, going back to the same thing we talked about earlier, coming from a place of contribution. We're involved with the community. We do community events, but it's not so much to look for business. I mean, we just had an event called Covina Cares where we provided food to 250 families and gifts to over 700 kids. So again, coming from a place of contribution, we do contribute that way, but do it as far as, and I know I'm veering off a little bit here, but we really sincerely feel that contributing is what's got us to where we're at now.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad that you actually brought that up because you got to give back. And I don't know. For me, in my personal life, it's really super important. I know from talking to you, getting to know you, it's super important. And Richard's, he's being real nice about. He's involved in a lot of things, and Richard's got a huge heart, and that we appreciate all the stuff he does. So, and by the way, you mentioned Gabriel's outdoor knocking. I want to give him props because what is it? 3 weeks ago, he's out there door knocking, and he got his first listing. So
yeah, I was. He came back. And he was happy about it. He says, "Man, I'm getting teached by the best." And I says, "Easy there, guy. We got a lot of work to do." But yeah, he's excited. I'm happy for him. He came from he's a manager for In-N-Out Burgers for I think a little over 12 years, and he bought into the idea, and he's completely bought in, and he believes in what we're doing here, and so much that he stopped working at In-N-Out, pulled money out of his 401k. Just to keep him afloat for now, but he has a couple of transactions right now in escrow, so I'm very excited for him, and I quite honestly I feel responsible to make sure he does make it, but he will, definitely 100%.
Yeah, and that just shows that when you have systems and models in place, you have some accountability, and you also do the actual actions to create business. It does happen. If you're out there and you're talking to people, business happens.
Right.
And when you build the relationship. So, yeah, huge props to Gabriel. I mean, he just, when we came back and he told us, his whole face, he was just totally lit up about it. It was awesome.
Yeah, he's happy. He's still happy.
He's a great guy, too. I like him. So that's good. That's good. So, Richard, I know that you got a lot of big goals this year. You got a lot to do. And, you just came back from Bold yesterday, second step to Bold.
Yeah.
So we're going to let you go in just a few moments. I don't know if you have any closing words because you got to get back to your prospecting. You got to hit your numbers. So any closing words, any last thoughts, anything you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah, absolutely. I come from a company and coached and mentored by probably, arguably, the best coach in town, aside from the big hitters out there. And after a long thought process with my wife and my family, I came and committed myself to working with Keller Williams. By far, it's probably one of the best decisions I've made for myself and my family. I mean, January, I think we're closing 5 this month, and last year we did reasonably well, but to get us started this quickly, it just solidifies my decision in coming to this company. It's a great company if you're looking for the accountability, you're looking to make some money. I'm available. So anytime you want to reach out to me, you can Google me, send me a message, text me, whatever. I'd be happy to help.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Richard. I appreciate that, and we appreciate you, and we're super excited and glad to be in business with you. And I'm excited and glad that you took the time because I know you're prospecting. You got to hit your numbers, so I appreciate you fitting us in to take some time to talk to us in the audience, and thank you very much. And I'll see you later on today.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot. See you later, Scott.
Yes. Have a nice day, Richard.
All right. You too. Bye bye.
All right, Scott, you still with me, buddy?
I am.
All right. So I'm not sure if there's any questions in the queue. If there are, I'll be more than happy to answer any.
Yeah, it doesn't look like any questions have come in from our viewers yet. Again, everyone that's viewing, if you have any questions for Jason about what Richard just said, feel free to answer them in the Q or ask them in the Q&A app, and we'll get those answered for you. But Jason, why don't we just go over real quickly, kind of summarize what Richard had to say, and let the audience know about maybe anything that you're doing different with lead generation than what Richard's doing, and give them some advice on ways that they could make their lead generation better.
Sure. So, Richard, he hit on, and Richard and I have a very similar lead generation process, and he hit on always coming from contribution. I cannot stress that enough. Always have some sort of contribution to whoever you're talking to. And it doesn't matter if you're talking to the doorman, if you're talking to a president of a Fortune 500 company. Always have some sort of contribution to give, and build that relationship. Now, Richard hit on something where he talks to someone and he gets in a relationship with them and stays in a relationship. He keeps in contact. Fortune is in the follow-up. I'm telling you this. For my own business, when I was producing, my team's back in Encino still producing. Fortune is in the follow-up. Having systems and models, the database, the follow-up, the drip campaigns, having a schedule and following your schedule. And if it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist. These are all things that we talk about, we coach about, and Richard definitely hit it on the head with that. But always come from contribution above everything else. The only thing, and I know he does it, but the only thing he didn't mention is the drip campaigns that he also uses. And drip campaigns they're all different. You can do all sorts of different things. Richard does use the Keller Williams E-Edge, and on there's customized campaigns done through. Well, there's the Keller Williams one. Plus, we also use Michael Lewis Marketing Suite. Michael Lewis is a good friend of mine, and he does a really nice product. And if anybody ever wants to see some of the stuff he does, just shoot me an email. I'll be more than happy to get you in touch with him. But yeah, his product's super nice. And so that's an ongoing drip campaign so that you keep touching your current clients, your past clients, friends, family, any of your prospects. Because if you're not top of mind, yeah, it's rough when you find out your next door neighbor just used a different realtor rather than you.
Right. Yeah. So, one of the things that Richard touched on was that with the rejections, he doesn't let no bother him because he's always saying that the more no's that he gets, just get him closer to the one yes that he's going to get. How do you personally deal with the rejection, and is there any advice that you could give to the viewers on maybe how they could stay positive?
Right. So the ways that you stay positive is by rewarding yourself along the way. I've done it. I've taught my team to do it. Now that I'm the team leader here in Covina, I'm showing everybody here it. If your goal, say, for example, is 20 contacts, well, maybe after you make 5 contact, by the way, is you physically talk to someone on the phone, in person. Text messaging and IMing does not count. Email does not count. So some sort of verbal communication, that's a contact. So when you make 5 contacts, give yourself a treat. Now, I'm not saying eat a bar of chocolate because, well, that's probably not healthy for you. But maybe you take, and I mean 5 minutes, a 5-minute walk, and you got to time yourself because I know for myself, 5 minutes turns into 20.
Right.
Time yourself 5 minutes, take a quick 5-minute walk, grab a drink of water, then come back and immediately get back onto what you're doing. But give yourself little rewards. So break up, if you're making 20 contacts, well, then you get 4 rewards after each 5 contacts you make. So I wanted to hit the reward system first. Now, the rejection phase, I was brought up on the phone. I'm a heavy phone user, cold caller. I have no problem with the no's. I know that if I get a no, well, that's okay because I don't know what they're going through. They could have just stubbed their toe on the way over to getting the phone. They could have just had some really bad news. So just because someone says no right now doesn't mean that they'll say no next week. Again, the fortunes in the follow-up. They immediately go back into my follow-up system, and I just follow up with them again. And that no eventually will turn into a yes. Whether we do business, it doesn't, it could be today, it could be 10 years from now. But the yes actually comes from getting into the relationship with the person and building a relationship. And then once you have a relationship, people do business with people that they like. Once you're in a relationship with them, then you'll go ahead and you'll get a yes. Maybe they're not ready to sell their house, but then again, they probably have friends and family that could be, so then you get a referral to them. So.
Right. So, it sounds like, to me, what you just said is you don't take it personally when you hear no because you don't know what the other person's going through. And,
you have no
maybe
idea.
You haven't built that relationship.
Right. You're not in their shoes. You have no idea. So I don't take it personally at all. This is actually the tracker sheet that I use. I'm not sure if it's going to show up. It's really super basic, And so I use a database, obviously, but then I just hash off the contacts I make and the leads I generate. I call it my quick and dirty. I track it, I keep it, I hold on to it, because I like physically writing something down. I do have a computerized database which is accessible everywhere, which I use as well. This just helps me keep track of how many calls I'm making.
Yeah, and I know one of the other questions that we had on the list, and we briefly touched on it, was some of the other lead generation activities that Richard does, and he talked about those, but give us some of the examples of different lead generation activities that you do and where you get the most bang for your buck.
Okay, so for myself and for my team back in Encino, basically the phone, networking events, community events, door knocking, and mailing campaigns. Those are the 5 big ones that we use. I use the phone. I'm good on the phone. I'm not going to say I'm exceptional, but I'm good on the phone. I'm good on the phone to the point where I can get an appointment or at least a meeting, and then once they meet me, I'm pretty personable, and we'll get into a relationship, and hugs and kisses all around. I shine in front of people. So for me, I'm best when I'm out face-to-face with people. Other people are scared to death of being in front of people. They'd rather work the phone. The moral of the story is pick something that you do really well and stick with it. I do think that you need to do a bunch of different types of lead generation and create a funnel, because the more you put out there, it's like casting a big net. The more fish you're going to catch. So create a big funnel. However, emphasize the one that you do the very best. So for me, it's networking events. It's we host a lot of happy hours. I go to places to meet people. So I'm out in the public.
Great.
And constantly meeting people. So,
all right. Yeah, so I know, do you have any advice that you would like to give that maybe we didn't touch on, that Richard didn't bring up, or that we didn't get to?
My biggest thing is, if I can give anybody a takeaway, is you definitely have to be. You got to have the right mindset. The right mindset, the right actions will produce results. Using systems and models, don't recreate the wheel. If it's already out there, use the systems and models. Always be open and willing to learn more, get education, and be educated. Those are the big ones. You got to have an open mind. You got to have the right mindset, and you got to have systems and models.
Right.
If you don't have those things, find people that do. Go, if what you're doing now isn't producing your results, why stay in it? Why keep doing it? If you have big goals of, in real estate, if you want to sell 100 units and right now you're only doing 10, well, clearly what you're doing isn't working. So you need to go outside and look what else is out there.
Right, that was going to be my next question to you, Jason. There are a lot of different systems out there that people can use. So if they're using a system and they're not seeing the results that they want, how long should they continue to use that system and expect the results before they go ahead and switch to the next system?
All right, so you definitely don't want to chase the shiny penny or the shiny fish or darting squirrel, whatever analogy you want to use.
Right.
You always want to lead with revenue, and so if it's a system that you actually buy, well, my question would be, are you actually using it correctly? Did you have proper training? Are you actually really giving it all it's worth? Like, are you putting in the time to do the activity? So with those 2 questions answered, are you really doing the right things by that system? If you truly are and it's not working, you got to commit at least a minimum of 6 months, and then get out. If it's not working, get out. Move on to the next one. But I meet people day in, day out. They've been in the same system for 10, 15 years, and they have results, but they're 50, 60, 80, $100 million producer disguised as a $5 million producer.
Right.
So and it's it's fear sometimes. People don't want to look out, and there's change is difficult for a lot of people. However, change is necessary. Change is necessary.
Yep, I hear you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we covered a lot today and got a lot of good information out there to the viewers. Is there anything else that you want to leave them with? How can they get a hold of you if they want some more information and would like to do some work with you?
Yeah, sure. Well, Scott, I'm always here to be of service. My number directly here at the Covina, California, Keller Williams is 626-966-3641. Of course, anybody can always email me, JGER, V as in Victor, AIS as in Sam at KW.com. Just any questions, comments, concerns, any way I can be of service, I'm here to help. I'm always coming for contribution, and there's never judgment, and anything that's said is always kept in strict privacy. So I'm here. I'm a resource. Please take advantage of it.
Great. Well, we really appreciate having you on, Jason. We're going to do another one of these next month, and we'll get the details to that out to all the viewers and out to your database shortly. So everybody be looking for those details on the event next month, and we'll see you then.
Yeah. Actually, if I can do a little sneak peek, we will be doing something with Michael Lewis, and we also will be doing something with Calvin as well. So that's coming up. Plus, we have a couple other folks in our market center that are doing some big things. So they're going to be on benches as well. So it's going to be good. A lot of really good stuff.
Can't wait to hear from them.
All right, cool, Scott. I appreciate your time. Thank you, my friend, as always.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks, everybody, for viewing the Hangout, and we'll see you next month on another episode of Millionaire Real Estate Agent Hangout.
Thank you.